Chapter 25. Children of the Altars. What was it that could cause a mother of ancient times to lift the child of her womb to Molech? The Molech keys to success. For one thing, she believed that by so doing she would obtain the gods' favor. Her fields would be fruitful. She would be given prosperity. Her prayers would be given answers, and her life would be blessed. The Greek writer Cleitarchus is credited with this report connecting child sacrifice and gain. Out of reverence for Kronos, the Phoenicians and especially the Carthaginians, whenever they seek to obtain some great favor, vow one of their children, burning it as a sacrifice to the deity, if they are especially eager to gain success. So in a modern replaying, what could lead a mother to kill the son or daughter of the womb? The most frequently given answer is that if the child lived, it would hamper a mother's life, her time, her energy, her educational or career prospects, her future earning capabilities. The child would be a burden to her aspirations. Thus, by killing the child, the hindrance and burden would be removed, and she would be in a better position to achieve her goals and attain success and prosperity. Female celebrities, feminist leaders, and other women of influence would publicly boast that they were able to find success in their careers because they ended the lives of their unborn children. Thus the reason given was in essence the same as that which led ancient mothers to lift their children onto Molech's altars. By doing so, they believed they were invoking blessing, prosperity, and gain. It is hard to fathom how anyone, ancient or modern, could make such a decision, but the decision remained unchanged. Can a woman forget? In the ancient sacrifice of Molech, the mother or father would bring the child to the altar to be slaughtered. So it is a unique dynamic of abortion that it is the mother or father who presents the child to be killed. In the book of Isaiah, the voice of God asks this question: can a woman forget a nursing child and not have compassion on the son of her womb? Surely they may forget, yet I will not forget you. In the case of Molech and in the case of abortion, the answer is yes. Even mothers may forget. How could something as intrinsic to life as a mother's instinct to protect her child morph into the desire to kill her child? Such things, ancient or modern, are not natural. They are the works of the gods. In the ancient sacrifice, the parent would either kill or else present the child to the priest or officiant, who would then take its life. In the modern sacrifice, the mother, in effect, gives her baby to the officiant, the abortionist, who then takes its life. In the ancient sacrifice, the child could be pierced, cut, crushed, left to die, and or burned. Burning was so common a feature that the scriptures rebuked the Israelites for causing their children to pass through the fire. In a modern sacrifice, the child was likewise pierced, cut, torn apart, left to die, or through the use of chemical solutions, burned. Music to kill by. The Greek philosopher Plutarch describes the music that would accompany the sacrifices of children and its purpose. And the whole area before the statue was filled with a loud noise of flutes and drums, so that the cries of wailing should not reach the ears of the people. In one sense, the music represented a civilization's celebration of child sacrifice. So too, under the spell of Molech, we have seen not only the return of child sacrifice, but a civilization's celebration of the act. But according to Plutarch, the music was especially strategic. The horror of the act was so intense that the public was kept shielded from hearing it by the sound of flutes and drums. So too, in its modern replaying, the horror of putting a baby to death in abortion was so disturbing that its sights, sounds, and details were kept hidden from the public, and the baby's agony could only be expressed in the form of silent screams that no one would hear. The racist god Diodorus Siculus writes of a secret transaction concerning the child sacrifices of his day. They had been accustomed to sacrifice to this god the noblest of their sons, but more recently, secretly buying and nurturing children, they had sent these to the sacrifice. In other words, the rich were buying children from those who were not rich in order to sacrifice them in place of their children. Plutarch writes of similar transactions, and those who had no children would buy little ones from poor people and cut their throats as if they were so many lambs or young birds. Meanwhile, the mother stood by without a tear or moan. So it was poor children who were more adversely affected by the child sacrifice than the rich. It was poor mothers who were more likely to offer up their children, and far more of poor children than the rich were placed on the altar. Even this was replaying in the modern version of child sacrifice. Abortion was weighted against the children of the poor and minorities. The child of a poor family, and particularly of a black family, was far more likely to be killed by abortion than a child who was not black or poor. And there were now American cities where more black children were killed through abortion than were actually born. It was one of Molech's many evils that he hated the poor and downcast and was a racist. A culture of cannibals. In the pagan world, it was believed that child sacrifice resulted in benefits not only for the individual who offered it but to the entire society. It would bring the gods favor and enhance the public good. If a misfortune or calamity came upon the land, it could result in the sacrificing of multitudes of children to appease the god and bring relief to the land. So the Roman philosopher Porphyry writes, the Phoenicians too, in great disasters whether of wars or droughts or plagues, used to sacrifice one of their dearest, dedicating him to Kronos. So the modern practice of child sacrifice was likewise hailed for its beneficial effect on the public good. The killing of babies was said to benefit society, not only in freeing women to pursue careers, but for holding the promise of breakthroughs in medicine and health. To further enhance this public good and to increase the profit margin, the abortion industry engaged in the sale of baby parts harvested from the murdered children. The spirit of Molech, having mixed children's blood with profit, had created a culture of cannibals. Molech's priests. The Greek philosopher Plato wrote of how the Carthaginian culture viewed child sacrifice. With us, for instance, human sacrifice is not legal, but unholy, whereas the Carthaginians perform it as a thing they account holy and legal. So the Carthaginians not only legalized the practice, they deemed it as holy. Even this ancient dynamic was replayed in America and the modern world. The killing of an unborn child was not only legal, but was hallowed as a sacred right to be praised, celebrated, and venerated as something beautiful and sacrosanct. In ancient Israel, it was the priests of Molech and Baal who would tell of the murder of children by speaking of it in religious terms. Who then are the modern-day priests of Molech? They are the ones who perform the act and those who sanctify it, the corporations that profit from children's blood, the political leaders and legislators who fight to ensure that Molech's temples remain overflowing with offerings, and the radical activists and ideologies who speak blessings and praises over the savage act as they lead women to the altars. Blessings and sacraments. The following are some of the actual words spoken by those who sanctify the killing of unborn children. Notice the framing of the act in religious and spiritual terms, as well as the word sacrifice. Our culture needs new rituals as well as laws to restore abortion to its sacred dimension. Abortion is a major blessing and a sacrament in the hands of women. It is not immoral to choose abortion. It is simply another kind of morality, a pagan one. Abortion is a sacrifice. Abortion is a sacred act. There is nothing else needing to be written here. Nothing could in any way add to or take away from the significance of horror of such words. There was a specific place in ancient Israel where the mystery of Molech was entered and came to its most dramatic conclusion. It would usher in the nation's judgment. Does it have a modern parallel? And does it contain a warning for another civilization and another nation?